Well, if you've ever wondered how to attach your Anubias or plant it, or maybe you've tried it before and it didn't go so well, maybe you glued your fingers together, or you just got frustrated, or maybe you just have not done it yet because you're afraid you're gonna hurt your little plant, don't worry, I got you covered. This video is for you. Well, hi, I'm Joanna. This is the Small Scape, and you may know this already, but I love Anubias. I love it so much, and one of the things that I find that frustrated me in the beginning and frustrated a lot of people are, how do you attach it? What's the best way? So let's get a close-up here, and I'm going to show you a number of different ways that are going to help you out. Okay, my first tip is, when you are working with Anubias, you can do this. I find that it helps me a lot. Instead of reaching into an aquarium, trying to attach it, you're putting your arm like, you know how you have to scape with your arm dangling into the aquarium. What I like to do is set up a tray right outside of the aquarium filled with some gravel. I find that easiest. And then you can set up your hardscaping here. It's gonna hold it in place. It'll give you an idea of what it's going to look like, and it's way easier because then it's way easier to get to. So for method number one, I'm going to use this little tiny Anubias Nana Petite. The method number one is the wedge. All you do is wedge it in between maybe like a piece of driftwood, if there's like a little nook or cranny in there, or between a number of different rocks, and then you can just mess with it here. You can take a look at it and see if you like it that way, and then give it a little like tug. It's somewhat secure, not too bad. And then once you have it how you like it, you just have to remember how you have it, or just pick it up and place it into your aquarium. So this is about as easy as it gets. It's called the wedge, and how this works really great with Anubias is because of the rhizome here is kind of lumpy, and it kind of gets held really nicely in between two rocks, and that works out well. Now method number two, I'm going to show you a little variation, and method number two is using wire. You can use something like this. I like this one because it's a little thicker. It's easier to work with than that super fine wire, and it's very pliable, and it's green, so it'll go nicely with the Anubias. Hopefully you won't be able to see it too well. So what I like to do, and this is kind of a little a cheat, you want something really kind of long. I'm going to show you a couple different options here using wire. If you have a rock and you do not want to, maybe it's not, you only have one, say you only have one rock, okay, you don't want to use a wedge, the wedge method. So you just want to have this guy, say, coming up from the back of, say you want something like that, right? What I like to do is make kind of a larger surface here, kind of a little, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, a little circle, okay? And then make a little spiral. All I've done is made like a little spiral here that will hold the rhizome, right? It's just kind of wrapped loosely around it. It's not hurting it. Say you wanted it like that. All you have to do is tuck this under the rock, okay? It won't give you a real good adhesion, but usually good enough. You can even have the wire a little longer and come down. I'm just not a big fan of wrapping wire around a rock that you can clearly see. That kind of bothers me, but sometimes you can hide it with wrapping wire. If you do want to there's nothing wrong with that. You can always wrap wire completely around the rock, but I find this is like a nice little kind of cheat to just have that underneath there, kind of holding it down. The rock is weighting that down, and there you go. That's option number one. Well, that's method two, option A. And then method two, option B. Wow, I didn't really think this was gonna get this complicated. Okay, would be You have the same thing. You made a little spiral that's holding, I don't know if you can see that, it's holding the Anubias nicely. Then say you have, instead of rocks, wait until you see this piece of spiderwood. Oh, I was looking for a piece of spiderwood to use as a demonstration here, and I found this one and I said, oh my goodness. Anyways, say you wanted to, the wire is already attached to it. All you have to do now is wrap the wire around a branch as inconspicuously as possible. See? And just wrap it around a couple times. And eventually the Anubias will attach itself nicely. The little roots will attach. Yeah, you can attach it that way. That would be really easy. And that's a reason a lot of people do use string or fishing line. Oof, not me. I tried that once and that was a nightmare. Can you imagine trying to twist string and then trying to tie a knot? Okay, and this is the last method that I'm going to show you. And this I will probably, I might use 2 different methods on this particular piece of spiderwood and Anubias. Wait until you see the Anubias here. Look at this one. Isn't this cool? Normally, I'm not a big fan of the ones that have more mature leaves and then the shorter ones here, but this one is kind of cool and it goes very nicely with this one. Oh, and keep in mind too, if you like Anubias but you want to branch out, I did just do a video on Anubias versus crypts. Crypts are also very user-friendly. All right, so now this one, I love it just like that. I like to set it up, and the more that it naturally fits together with your hardscaping, the better it's going to be. It'll just make your life a whole lot easier. And look at that, it looks like they were kind of meant to be here. Now, the roots back here, we're gonna actually glue this for method number 3. We're gonna use some super glue, and what I'm gonna do is use the natural little branches, little finger things they got back here, and I'm gonna just tuck some of these roots back there. You can usually use that trick in a lot of the different spiderwoods and driftwoods. They have all these little things, and you can take advantage of whatever this particular piece has, because the more areas that it's going to hold on to, the less frustrating it's going to be for you, because the worst thing is to get it attached and then you put it in, you fill up your aquarium and it starts floating. Now what you want to do is look to see where is the plant naturally touching the wood, and you just place little tiny beads of super glue. We like the super glue gel. You always want to use a gel because it's thicker. You don't want the kind that's going to run, because it'll just run all over, and including on your fingers. I just use the Gorilla. I have great luck with it, and we get it at Lowe's and it's convenient. So, and don't forget to shake the bottle and look to see where the plant is naturally touching. So like right here, I'm thinking is a good little spot right there. And all you have to do is take a look, a little bead is there. Drop a bead of glue right in between the two. Here we go. And you want gravity to help you out. So lay it down. As it dries, you don't have to hold it down. And you might want to look for, I usually like to put at least 2 or 3 little beads just to hold it better. Maybe like, and I don't know if you can see, like maybe right there. Just picking up a nice little couple of spots where it can hold on nicely. Maybe like right, another one over there. There we go, should be good. And then just give it a couple minutes to dry. Now, if you are going to, for the super glue method, I'm also going to show you how I like to, let's move this guy over. All right, you behave, you dry. How I like to glue on a rock, which can be kind of challenging. I'm keeping my, I don't know if you can see this, I'm keeping my Anubias stash in some water down here so they don't completely dry out. And I don't know if you could tell, but the Anubias that I just glued on here was really relatively dry. You want to have paper towels with you if you're going to be using the super glue method. And just before you glue, you want to dry off the roots of the plant. And you can see there's already super glue on here from when I had glued them on somewhere else. And see, the plant's doing just fine. And then you want to make sure that your rock, or whatever you're gluing it to, is also dry. And it'll make your life a whole lot easier. What I like to do is first look to see where it's naturally going to lie down, and it's lying very nicely there. So I'm going to leave it right there. And I actually like to place the super glue onto the plant, not onto the hardscaping. And there's a reason for that, because when you go to pull it apart, which at some point you probably will if you want to rescape or you want to use it somewhere else, or you're going to propagate it and you're going to divide it, then you want it to come off as easily as possible. The best case scenario is that you do not pull off the little roots. Of course, you wouldn't want to do that, so you want everything to come off as intact as possible. So I found that whatever you place the glue on is what the glue will stay on when you go to separate them. So if you put the glue on the rock and you place this on there, chances are that when you pull it off, the glue will stay on the rock and pull off some of the plant. That's just my experience. You can see what works for you, but I prefer to place it onto the plant. Remember to shake the super glue. Like under here and here, it was attaching, it was already laying on the rock. So I'm just gonna put a little bead here and a little bead here. There we go. And then lay it on the rock, and then you can take a look at it, see if you got it right. Looks pretty good. And then I'm also gonna let that dry. You can bring a water mister if you're afraid of them getting dried out. Generally, it just takes a couple minutes for it to dry, and then you put it in the water, and I've never had a problem with them. Okay, before I wrap up this video, I wanted to make sure that I gave you a good look at this piece of driftwood and spiderwood. I tried to say it at the same time. Spiderwood. It is an amazing piece. I can't believe I haven't seen it in our stash before and done something with it. And it goes so nicely with this little Anubias. I am so happy with this. Hopefully that gave you some tips and some security that yes, you can attach your Anubias to. If you have any other tips that you'd like to share, make sure you leave a comment down below. And as usual, thank you so much for watching.